I'm Remso Martinez, one of Las Vegas's top fractional CMOs, and I'm going to walk you through the marketing nightmares that collapsed Primm, Nevada. There's something eerie about Primm. Not haunted, not post-apocalyptic, just forgotten. This used to be one of the most recognizable stops between Los Angeles and Las Vegas. Families stopped here, tourists gambled here, people rode roller coasters here. The outlet mall was packed, and now, large parts of it feel frozen in time. But here's the thing, Primm isn't just a story about casinos failing. It's a story about what happens when businesses stop evolving, while the world around them changes completely. And honestly, a lot of companies are making the exact same mistakes right now, probably even yours. So in this video, I want to break down the 5 biggest reasons Primm declined and the 5 marketing lessons businesses desperately need to learn from it before they end up the same way. The first major problem is that Primm stopped being a destination, and instead it became a pass-through. Back in the 90s and early 2000s, stopping in Primm actually felt exciting. Cheap buffets, arcades, roller coasters, casino lights in the middle of the desert, even a monorail system that connected all 3 casinos together. It felt weird in a fun way, but then Vegas evolved. Vegas became luxury-driven, experience-driven, even sports-driven, and definitely influencer-driven. People stopped wanting to pause before Vegas. They just wanted to get there faster. And Primm never successfully repositioned itself once that happened. That is a brutal lesson for businesses, because markets change faster than owners emotionally accept. A strategy that worked 10 years ago can quietly become obsolete when leadership keeps pretending that everything's just fine. Now let me be clear. There's a difference between vintage and outdated. Vintage feels intentional. Outdated feels abandoned. And that became one of Primm's biggest problems. The casinos increasingly felt neglected instead of nostalgic. Today's consumers will absolutely embrace old school aesthetics if they feel curated and intentional. Look at boutique hotels, retro diners, classic Vegas lounges. People love atmosphere, but atmosphere requires maintenance, identity, storytelling, and presentation. Primm didn't evolve its old identity into a modern experience, it just stayed old. And customers can feel the difference immediately. This might have been the biggest mistake of all though. Primm disappeared from the cultural conversation. At one point, it represented the American road trip culture. Cheap fun, desert weirdness, classic roadside Vegas energy, but eventually nobody was telling that story anymore. Meanwhile, modern Vegas kept reinventing itself constantly. Formula One, the Vegas Golden Knights, massive influencer culture, luxury dining, the expansion of sports betting, and mega events, such as the ones we see at Allegiant Stadium and the Sphere. Vegas stayed culturally relevant. Primm didn't. And businesses need to understand something. If people stop talking about you, they eventually stop thinking about you. And if they stop thinking about you, they stop buying from you. Silence is not neutral in business. Silence is decline. And honestly, this is the part that drives me insane about Primm, because there was still so much unused potential sitting right there in the desert. Take Whiskey Pete's for example. The property literally had a built-in ghost tourism potential after being featured on Ghost Adventures on Travel Channel. They even have a partnership with our friends at Vegas Afterlife, who host ghost tours there. They could have leaned into the ghost tours, paranormal weekends, influencer investigations, haunted hotels experiences, and that type of stuff. It would have been awesome, because people fly across the country for that type of stuff now. Then you've got Buffalo Bills. The place is already like in this weird retro futuristic desert type vibe that honestly feels straight out of Fallout New Vegas. And somehow nobody fully capitalized on that overlap. You're telling me nobody thought, hey, maybe gamers would love a weird post-apocalyptic desert casino experience between Vegas and California. That's free identity positioning sitting right in front of you. Then there's the Bonnie and Clyde death car exhibit inside Primm Valley Resort. That's actual American crime history. People binge mob documentaries, true crime podcasts, and gangster history content constantly, yours truly included. And yet it never fully evolved into an immersive attraction ecosystem. That's the tragedy of Primm. Not just decline, but lost imagination. Because modern marketing rewards businesses that aggressively turn weirdness into identity. And Primm had plenty of weirdness. It just stopped knowing what to do with it. Another massive issue, consumer behavior changed. Younger audiences don't just buy products anymore. They buy identity, aesthetics, experiences, social proof, shareable moments. Modern consumers want to feel immersive, places that make them feel something, places worth posting online. Primm largely stayed tied to an older gambling-first audience, while newer generations became less emotionally attached to casino culture itself. And businesses run into this constantly. They keep selling the same way to customers who no longer think the same way. And that's dangerous, because your audience can evolve out from underneath you while your company keeps operating like it's still 2004. Once traffic starts dropping, decline becomes exponential. Lower occupancy means less maintenance, fewer staff, less entertainment, weaker marketing, and worse customer experiences. Then, customers notice the energy shift, and consumers are incredibly sensitive to energy. People can feel when ownership stops believing in the product, and when businesses become trapped managing decline instead of rebuilding demand. And honestly, that happens to more companies than people realize. Not because leadership is evil, but because complacency slowly becomes normalized. Now, here's why I think this matters beyond casinos. Businesses can no longer just blame the lockdowns of 2020 for why they're continuing to make poor decisions in 2026. Primm is basically a live-action business warning sign, because the same patterns that hurt these casinos destroy brands every single year. So here are the 5 marketing lessons businesses need to learn from this place. Lesson 1. Nostalgia is bait, not a hook. A lot of businesses think, we've been here forever, people know us, we're established. Well, that's not enough anymore. Brand equity decays if you stop reinforcing relevance. You can honor your history without becoming trapped inside of it. The businesses that survive are the ones that modernize without losing their identity. Lesson 2. If you don't control the narrative, the market will. Primm slowly became associated with emptiness, decline, abandoned energy, and nobody aggressively countered that narrative. That's a huge mistake. Modern marketing is narrative warfare. Perception compounds. And if you're not actively shaping how people will think of your business, the internet will do it for you. Usually in the worst possible way. Lesson 3. Experience is marketing. A lot of companies still think that marketing is social media posts, ads, logos, and slogans. No. Marketing is customer experience. An outdated building is a marketing problem. Bad service is a marketing problem. An empty restaurant becomes marketing content online instantly. Operations and marketing are now inseparable. Your customer experience is your reputation system. Lesson 4. People buy identity. The strongest brands in the world don't just sell products, they sell emotional identity. Apple sells creativity. Harley-Davidson sells rebellion. Vegas sells fantasy. Primm eventually stopped standing for something emotionally compelling. And when brands lose emotional identity, they become interchangeable. That is one of the most dangerous things that can happen to a business. And lesson 5, decline usually starts with complacency. Most businesses don't collapse overnight. They slowly normalize lower standards, slower decisions, weaker branding, less innovation, and less urgency. Until one day, everyone notices the decline that's actually been happening for years. That's why smart operators constantly reinvest in relevance before they absolutely have to, when it doesn't become a choice. Because once customers emotionally move on, winning them back becomes brutally difficult. Primm is one of the strangest places in Nevada because it feels like a snapshot from another era that never fully made the jump into the future. And honestly, that's what makes it fascinating. But it's also a warning. Because businesses rarely die because markets change. They die because leadership assumes customers will tolerate an outdated version of them forever, and eventually, they don't. Although honestly at this point, Amazon should just probably buy all the closed casinos out there and turn the entire area into a massive Fallout-themed resort experience. This is a personal opinion, but I'm completely serious. Give me wasteland blackjack, radioactive slot machines, a super mutant buffet, and a guy dressed like the NCR Ranger charging me $14 for bottled water. And somehow it would probably work better for than like whatever they're doing now. So if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel. I do a lot of content breaking down business, marketing, Las Vegas culture, and the lessons companies need to learn from success stories and failures hiding in plain sight. And if your business feels stuck, outdated, or invisible, book a call with me today at marketerontherun.com. I'll see you in the next one.